Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Is Ripple's newest competitor in cross-border payments blatantly lying to the public? Many in the XRP community believe so, and they're calling them out. Shots fired, right? That new competitor, of course, is Circle. But is it really true that they're throwing Ripple and XRP under the bus? Well, I will tell you the answer, my dear friend, in this very latest Moon Lambo hot jam. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, it is undeniably true that Ripple has, now in more ways than one, become a competitor with Circle, which of course is the issuer of USDC, the stablecoin. And I've pointed this out a couple times, but it's worth repeating since I'm going to be talking about both these companies in this video. Here is a headline from April 4th of last year, 2024. Circle CEO praises Ripple for launching own stablecoin on XRP. Now, that's an adult approach to this because you see that a juggernaut in the crypto space, Ripple, and your Circle, just imagine that. You see a juggernaut in the crypto space starting to creep up on your turf, and instead of blasting them, you're like, hey, good job. Good job, and kudos to you for launching your own stablecoin on XRP, even though it's a direct competitor. Okay, that's an adult approach. I can actually respect that, but still, that is Ripple stepping right up on Circle's turf, is it not? Oh, yes, indeed it is. Now, there's room for multiple competitors, and of course, stuff like this is going to happen, so all good. But then we got this headline a few days ago. Ripple faces major challenger as Circle enters payments arena. So, just like, it's so funny to me, just like Ripple decided to stomp on Circle's turf and go after turn Circle into a competitor, just like Ripple turned Circle into a competitor, Circle turned Ripple into a competitor, jumping into cross-border payments. Isn't that freaking wild? Look at this. So here's the headline from CoinDesk. Stablecoin giant Circle is launching a new payments and remittance network. Circle, the firm behind the $60 billion USDC stablecoin, is launching a new payments and cross-border remittance network on Tuesday, the company's next product move, from its plush New York City headquarters high on the 87th floor of One World Trade Center. The launch event is aimed at banks, fintechs, payment service providers, remittance providers, and USDC strategic partners. It will feature Circle CEO Jeremy Allaire sharing his vision for the stablecoin giant's next move within the payment space, according to an invite seen by CoinDesk. Okay, and so I've covered this on the channel already. I'm just repeating a little bit of this because you do need to know this for the rest of what's going to get covered here to make even the tiniest little baby boo bit of sense. But this is a real thing. This is actually happening here. Now, a statement was made that really ruffled a lot of feathers here. This is from the official Circle account with 207,000 followers on social media platform X. This post I'm about to read to you, which is posted on April 24th, has now been seen 358,900 times as of the moment that I'm recording this video, and it's been seen on other accounts. It's been discussed widely, so this sentence that was uttered here, it's well known in crypto. And this upset a lot of people in various communities in crypto, but notably the XRP community, because obviously remittance firms, obviously this is one of the one of the most famous use cases for XRP. It's fair to state, obviously, XRP is a bridge currency. So obviously, I mean, Circle's directly trying to compete. And since I've covered that in other videos, I'm not going to go into more of the mechanics and stuff. I don't want to repeat all of that stuff. I've covered that fairly thoroughly to this point. But I want to directly address what was stated right here. What's on your screen right now, which I'll read in a second. This really upset some people, really pissed some people off. Some people claim that this is a lie. But here's what Circle wrote. There's no cross-border real-time payment system yet. In test mode, we moved USD to BRL, that's the Brazilian real, in just 72 seconds, end to end. Let that sink in. And that was stated by the VP of product at Circle, and that's him on your screen right there. So they're saying there is no real-time payment system, but there's, which in their test run here, 72 seconds, apparently that would be it. And so, look, sometimes like a lot of people will state when referencing XRP as a bridge currency that it's, and some, I'll say this too sometimes, like it's effectively real time. And the reason I say that is because it depends on what your definition of real time is. You know, if you're talking about XRP specifically, it settles in 3 to 5 seconds. That's effectively real time right there. But I mean, does that count? Does it have to be less than a second? Like, what counts as real time? And that's subjective, and there's no ultimate authority that gets to decide. So a lot of times I'll say effectively real time, but sometimes it's just stated as real time because, frankly, we're pretty much there already. With what Ripple's doing, utilizing XRP as a bridge currency, like, we're pretty much there, right? So then you'll see, and I'm going to share with you like a number of comments from people in the XRP community, and some of them misunderstand and do have it wrong. And I just want to be clear, I'm not highlighting anything anybody's saying, even though I'm going to correct this. It's not to like make fun of them. It's very to be honest with you, it's very understandable as to why people are thinking that Circle's lying here or just wrong or something to that effect. But they're actually not, and more on that in a second. But first, let me share with you some comments. Oh, actually, let me highlight this first. Jeremy Allaire, he confirmed this, all right? Jeremy Allaire, again, he is the co-founder and CEO of Circle. And so he reposted what I just shared with you from the official Circle account, and he simply wrote, yes, 72 seconds. Okay, and so a lot of people are thinking, but XRP settles in 3 to 5 seconds. Why is this incredible? What are you even talking about here? And so here is a reply to that. Somebody named Z wrote, that's only 18 times slower than XRP. Not bad. It's kind of funny. Here's a post from XRP community member Lost Cherub. He says, XRP, XLM, Flare, HBAR make a payment with all of them and you would still have time left. So he's literally saying if you make a payment with all of them, even if it's sequentially, I think is his point, it would still be way faster than the 72 seconds, right? And so that's what he's responding there. Here's a post from Brett Flair. He responded as well, and he said, that's like bragging about a car doing 0 to 60 in 72 seconds when there are many others doing 0 to 60 in 3 to 5 seconds. Here's another post. This is from Angelica Saldana, who wrote, why don't you request a demo from Ripple? Because the XRP ledger settles in 3 to 5 seconds. And again, I understand why people are bringing this up, and I'll explain. 3 to 5 seconds versus 72 seconds, not really a competition, right? If that's the case. Here's a post from BitBill on X. Also responded to Circle and said, haha, let the misinformation commence. So this is how the unremarkable make progress, lie, cheat, steal. May the wrath of truth descend upon you. And folks, I will tell you, there are a lot of people that think that this is a misdirect, Circle's just lying, misleading the public. And again, I understand why, but it's not the case. Here's another post. This is from Sam, wrote to Circle and said, I've read this post 10 times and can't believe it actually got posted. This is like trying to say we'll deliver your online delivery in 10 days, pretending Amazon can't do it the same day. Again, nothing against these people. These are incorrect takes, but, this is why I'm making this video, to share the information, but I totally understand why people are thinking what they're thinking. Here's a post from Crypto Sensei. He reposted that post from Circle and wrote, Circle is regretting this tweet from earlier. Excuse me. The XRP army is reminding them that the world already has a real-time cross-border payment system. Now, folks, and I will say, it depends on what you I just got to pause here to say, it depends on what you consider to be real-time. If what Circle's doing there is real-time, then what Ripple is doing is real-time. So that's the one thing I will say before getting into the rest of this. That's the one thing where it's like, okay, don't pretend like you're the first. Fine. But it depends on what you call real time. Like if theirs is not real time, and they're not calling Ripple's real time, well, then what they're saying is still true. And so that's where technically we could use some clarification. But I think that's the only reasonable point that anybody could make. And you'll see why after I finish my little spiel I'm about to give on this. Anyway, then Crypto Sensei says, mistakes like this can be costly to the brand. If you get on the bad side of millions of XRP traders, we won't want to hold USDC in the future. Is an apology in order? So that's what Crypto Sensei said. Here's a post from Crypto Insight UK. He said, "This is a joke, right? I've literally seen Jeremy Allaire on a panel with Brad Garlinghouse at Davos maybe 3 years ago. Jeremy said, and this is paraphrasing, we could use a payment solution like yours to scale our stablecoin business. Why come out and say something completely untrue?" And then he tagged the VP of product at Circle, Sunil Sharma. All right, so here's the deal, though. Like, to get to the truth, we must answer a couple of basic questions. Because, when it comes to the transaction time of Ripple payments, the blazing fast speed of XRP is not the only thing to consider. We must also ask, how fast are cryptocurrency exchanges processing ODL transactions with XRP as the bridge currency? How much time does it take for a local bank to receive fiat currency from a cryptocurrency exchange on the receiving end, right? And then place those funds in the recipient's checking account? Because all of that can take time. It does add time. Like, all of that literally adds time, potentially a number of minutes. And so, yes, that's right. Ripple payments can take a number of minutes to complete, even when using XRP as a bridge currency, and that's despite the blazing fast speed of XRP. It can still take a few minutes. And so that's why people tend to describe Ripple payments as effectively real time, right? And so now this is what I was saying a couple minutes ago. Definitionally, what is real time? And so we're splitting hairs there. So if Circle wants to say there is no real time payments, well, then theirs wouldn't qualify either. And then I'd say, okay, but it's a semantics game, right? But if theirs does count as real time, this as described in this little test run, well, then what Ripple's doing does too, in which case they said something stupid. So it depends. You see what I'm saying? But I think that people are conflating some things. So, in corridors where there's less friction, payments corridors where there's less friction on local rails, like, the entire transaction can be very fast. Maybe even faster than Circle's claim of about 72 seconds in a test transaction. Ripple's ODL, the exchange partners, ODL exchange partners, they're pretty darn quick. But still, each partner in the transaction process absolutely does contribute to friction. And even if that friction is relatively minimal, it's still friction, right? So, because again, it's a chain. It's just the exchange. They're a piece in this chain of transactions. And so you can imagine, like, when you get to the part where the funds are finally transferred to the bank, how quick is the bank putting that in the customer's checking account? What processes do they go through? Are they slow? Does it take 10 minutes? Do they have these rigorous security checks where it slows everything down? Because then because that is part of Ripple payments, that's the receiving end. Well, yeah, then it could be way longer. And I made up the 10-minute thing, but just to get the idea across. I'm just saying that's the type of thing that can slow stuff down. That doesn't mean XRP is slow, but that's also why transaction speeds are going to vary depending on the corridor and what's happening in the local rails. In fact, I remember years ago Brad Garlinghouse talking about, for domestic payments, ACH in the United States much slower than, I don't remember the name of the platform, but in Mexico, whatever their local rails are there domestically in Mexico, way faster than ACH in the United States. Brad Garlinghouse, I remember him saying that years ago. So local rails impact the speed of Ripple payments, right? And then XRP can be a part of that as a bridge currency, of course. Okay, so then what's the best way to fix this slowdown? Well, that's simple. I have the answer to that. Just use a cryptocurrency like XRP directly to transfer your payments. And stop using remittance firms altogether. You don't need them. You listening to this now, you're in crypto. You don't need this crap. This is for people that are not in crypto, right? So, you can stop using remittance firms altogether. You don't need them. But see, the benefit is, so like most humans on the planet, they're not into crypto. And so the fact that this happens and XRP is used in the plumbing, that's a tremendous benefit. That's one of the coolest things. That's how XRP can get tremendous traction and volume and attention without having to onboard people into crypto. But in the future, in a world where pretty much everybody on the damn planet is already using crypto, which will be the future, it's going to be most people. Remittance firms in the traditional sense like this, they're not really going to be very useful. But XRP would still be useful even in such a world because you can use it in place of money. You can use it as a... You can treat it the same way that Ripple does. You can just do it manually yourself and take out all the middlemen. Like, if you want to send funds, just send the funds. So if you want to convert from one currency to another, so you can use, if you've got United States dollars, you can use your United States dollars to buy XRP, send it to a friend in Brazil, and then they have the XRP instantly, 3 to 5 seconds, real time, and then they can do whatever they want. They want to sell the XRP into the Brazilian real, they can do that. So take out the middleman is the point. So if you want it to go faster, that's the actual answer. The technology already exists. But what we're doing right now is just saying, hey, for those of you that haven't transferred over to this new way of moving value using the internet, you don't use the magic internet money like XRP yet. If you're not going to do that yet, fine. Here's a slower way. There is a little bit more friction, but you can do it. It's still a little bit better with crypto. With XRP being used as a bridge currency, it still makes sense. So the point, though, one of the big takeaways here, people were conflating when they said 72 seconds, they were conflating that with XRP settling in 3 to 5 seconds. That's not the same thing. The apples to apples comparison would be what Circle is doing here with their payments network and Ripple payments. And part of Ripple payments can be using XRP as a bridge currency. And that bridge currency part, yeah, that's true. It takes 3 to 5 seconds per transaction. Okay, yeah, absolutely true. But if you're looking at the whole of Ripple payments, which includes all the other parts where money's moving, no, it's more than 3 to 5 seconds. It can be a lot more. It could be a few minutes, in fact. And here my fellow XRP YouTuber, Crypto Eddie, was making that point in a post. She wrote, in terms of payment systems, it's true, referencing what Circle said. So she's saying what Circle said is true. She says single XRP and XRPL transactions take 3 seconds. However, with a payment system like Ripple Payments, what we have called RippleNet for years, does the whole process of unramping, moving XRP or RLUSD, off-ramping plus messaging. This takes 1 to 3 minutes on average. That's right, folks. RippleNet takes 1 to 3 minutes on average. Now, that's still fast. I'll just say that. Consider, like, traditionally in exotic corridors, converting from one fiat currency to another could take like 3 to 5 days in severe cases. So 1 to 3 minutes, that's effectively real time, right? Anyway, and then she says, thank you to Panos for the graphic. I believe many people conflate XRP Ledger and Ripple payments. That is true. And so that's part of the reason I want to make the video is to clear this up. Like, there's this conflating of things. I don't think that Circle necessarily did anything wrong here. As long as they're not going to claim that their 72 seconds is real time. If they're saying that that's real time, then no, they're wrong because Ripple's already doing that. So it just depends. Frankly, I need clarification from them. But a lot of the replies, people in the XRP community absolutely missing the boat. That's why I'm making the video. And again, I don't blame people for that. I understand why. But a lot of people in our community were missing the boat. And just thinking, oh, XRP's fast, therefore 72 seconds is slow. And actually, 72 seconds, if you're talking about for the entire payment system, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty damn good, actually. That seems on par with what Ripple's doing. Now, good luck catching up to Ripple. They had first mover advantage. Well, I mean, using crypto to, yeah, Ripple had first mover advantage for this particular use case, and XRP's dominating it. So good luck catching up. You're going to need it. It's a lot of work, and you need a sales team to get, onboard customers, this and that, 24/7 support. Like, it's a whole thing. It's a real big thing, but if they want to do it, hey, there are always going to be competitors. I'm for it. It's not gonna harm or ruin XRP. I'll tell you that much right now. Definitely not. There are multiple use cases for XRP, and XRP is already functionally being used for this one. It just works. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say are right. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.